Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Love ya. And this message is out for the Europeans out there. Uh, you know, a lot of you Europeans like to clown on me and say how, oh, ignorant Americans are so dumb. Oh, you just think America's the best. No, I'm here to tell you there's a lot of problems here. You already know that full well, right? You're real happy to tell me everything wrong with my country, so we don't need to go over that too much. What I'm here to say is I don't want your country to go down like America as a country is going down. So let's back up a bit. America, as everyone knows, is called the United States of America, and that's because it was supposed to be set up, and it was originally set up as individual countries just making agreement together to have sort of an alliance and get along. In a certain respect, it wasn't. It was a formation of a country. In other respects, it was quite different because if you compare our states to our country and the way that our states are set up in conjunction with each other, the states have far more autonomy than most other countries have with their whatever municipalities or states or within the country, that in the way that they're broken up, cantons or prefectures as they're referred to in Japan, with the exception of Switzerland, which is also quite unique in that they retain a lot of power in relation to the federal government as the main government. So, case in point, Switzerland. If you look on paper at the facts, and if you just talk with most people, they can agree that Switzerland has done better than most countries, arguably all countries. And I think it's because they keep this very strong division of power, and the smaller governments often have more power than the larger in terms of, and that's usually the opposite for most countries. There's sometimes overlap, but China is an easy example where the president can pretty much do whatever he wants. I mean, more or less, he has very broad power, and then the governors are not sure the position title exactly, but the leaders of each individual province have somewhat less power, and then the mayors have somewhat less power. But it's from my understanding, it's mostly flipped in Switzerland, and that's how it was set up to be in America originally. It was supposed to be more similar to what is now kind of a European Union type thing, although kind of to go along with what I'm saying, trying to send out the warning to Europeans in that you don't want it to become that sort of top-down type of power, which is, I believe, why there was Brexit and these things, because they didn't want these overreaching laws. What you do want, what is nice, is to have a coalition of at least somewhat like-minded civilizations in order to better sort of defend against injustices in the world. That's great, and or that can be great, but often it slowly gets corrupted, and that is what has happened with America. the benefit, the thing that Europe has going for it, that America doesn't have so much, is that there are far more distinctive characteristics among the different countries within Europe as opposed to America. There are distinctions, certainly, amongst the states, but it's far, far less than you could say between something like Sweden and Italy. Um, obviously language, but types of food, I don't know, the media that's consumed. I mean, you don't have to know. If you're a European watching this, you know there's vast differences in amongst the countries. And so here's the main message, is that you want to keep your autonomy, keep your freedom, protect your culture, especially if it's a good culture. And multiculturalism, the thing, I don't even know exactly what the textbook definition of multiculturalism is, but having a mixed mash of cultures thrown together, I would say, is not ideal. What is ideal is having people come in from different cultures and bring the best part of those cultures, and then your main culture or country soaking up the good parts of the cultures of people coming in. What's not great is bringing in a significant amount of people from other countries who sort of make their own communities or sort of infect your culture with bad things. And I brought up Sweden before, and they have sort of little. I mean, there was a lot of Muslims there when I went there, and they have little areas where I saw this, that the police like would allegedly not go into. I mean, they didn't say that, but that's what the people there said. And they, maybe they would if for an emergency. I don't know, but it seems that it was they have this Muslim enclave within Sweden, and they're Muslim people are usually pretty strong into their beliefs. There's not a lot of leeway in terms of especially the ones that I've encountered in Sweden. And the same thing with like Germany. In 2015, I believe there was this mass gang rape, and as far as I know, there wasn't anything really done about it. No grand changes in terms of the amount of people they're bringing in, and I think it's fantastic to help as many people as you can, but you can't overwhelm your own house if you're using your house to make wealth and benefit people. You can't have it overrun with people messing up what's going on, if that makes sense. If you have a factory, right, which makes more sense, and it makes, I don't know, let's just say it makes products or whatever, some food or something that people need, and that brings in wealth, and that makes something beneficial for the society. You need the right people working there, right? And then you can use the money that you get, or you can use the products that you make, since it's at a discount to you, to help people on the outside and maybe help them make their own factories. But you can't overrun your factory with just a bunch of people with their own ideas and doing their own things. You can bring in people one at a time and say, okay, try them out and see how they fit in your factory. You can have it be open for discussion. Say, we'd like to hear your ideas and what you have to bring to the table. This is how you want your country to be, and this is how I think Norway, is fairly protective of their country, and they're doing quite well. Switzerland, a good example of Switzerland is, I know there's a woman who was sort of very critical of the Swiss way of life, and she had lived there for, I think, over 10 years, so she was eligible to be a citizen. She had, I don't know all of the what stipulations, but she had met all of them. But they have something where you have to, like, they can deny if they think that you don't really fit in with the culture. And she was so abrasive towards Switzerland and Swiss people that they denied her citizenship. And this is what I'm saying is, like, if you're causing such chaos and you're not benefiting the society, uh, or whatever it may be, to use the factory analogy again, if you're just, every time something comes out through the conveyor belt, if you're like dropping it on the ground, or if you're poisoning the food, it's not going to be good. You have to keep this good culture. Even I'm not sure about America, but I'm not sure about Europe, but in America, a big thing right now is, and for the last, I don't know, I've been hearing it more and more over the last like 10 years, is culture, the culture of a company itself, and how important that is. And I do think it's extremely important, and I think that it certainly extends to countries. And you want to keep that as good as you can, as positive, as focused on change for the better as you can, and rooting out corruption and things like this, and not, killing people if they should leave your religion or anything else obviously insane and egregious. So, yeah, to sum it up again, Europeans, say how bad things are in America, and there's definitely reasons for that. I'd say the biggest is corruption, but it's much easier to corrupt if there's one centralized locale of power. It's much, much easier. It's much harder if you keep and retain your power at a country level, or even better, at a smaller individual municipality, or even city or town or village level, and then have the federal government or whatever union amongst various countries, or all these kind of where there's a lot of potential of power, try to keep these as small as possible in terms of just overlooking things like national protection and I don't know, maybe interstate highways, and things like this, that I'm not even, maybe maybe some of those things can be handled on the smaller levels anyway, but I'm just saying, try to keep it as small as possible, to almost nothing if you can. In terms of European unions, just say, okay, we have this place for us to discuss and try to come up with the best sort of agreements we can in terms of having exchange and trade, and maybe going over what needs to be done before products go into a country, the sort of checking of to make sure there's I'm just making up something, like, let's say, oh, this is going to be our procedure for when you ship something to our country. We'll have someone check it out to make sure there's nothing, no drugs on it or something like that. I don't know. I'm just making this up. Nothing, to make sure the products are of legitimate quality or whatever. So, yeah, when America had a lot more freedom, when the locales of power were more so at the state level, it was much better. So it's getting worse and worse. Protect your own country, protect your own culture, protect your own, neighborhood, your house, whatever. Try to keep the power more focused, more spread out amongst smaller groups than in one spot. And yeah, don't, I guess that, so sort of that two things, that, and then also, don't let if you have a good culture, don't let it get infected and overrun by those coming in with a bad culture, bad ideas. You can bring individuals one at a time, and you should judge people case by case, but not just open doors, people coming at will, because they will eventually ruin a country. Just give it time. That's about it. Thank you very much for watching. I'd love to hear what people think. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to. But yeah, take care.